Hi, Fantom ticker symbol FTM is one of the best performers today, going up 8% while the general market is relatively calm. So does it make sense to jump on this recent rally now? Fantom is at $1.76. It's coming like Phoenix out of the ashes, has been calm for a while, but now it looks like Fantom is picking up some steam. Now, as usual, we will look at multiple charts of Fantom. We will not just look at the US dollar chart, we will also look at the chart relative to Ethereum and relative to competing layer ones such as Avalanche, Polygon Matic, Solana, and Algorand. Simply to get a feeling of how Fantom is relatively priced and where the current momentum might bring us. So first things first, this is Fantom's price in US dollars. And since we are looking at this very abrupt increase, let's maybe do something different to usual. Let's switch to the bar chart so we can see the intraday volatility. How much does the price move within the day? And there's a few things to point out. I usually don't do this. I don't draw lines on the US dollar chart, but over here I think we can see quite a bit of an explanation why Fantom is recently rallying, at least when focusing on the technical analysis. So we've got these two lines where we got a lot of confirmations in the past, right? Both on the upside as well as on the downside. And so just looking at this picture, this isn't too positive, right? This is quite a bit of a resistance that we have to overcome. One might also argue that there's some kind of a reversal point around here, right? Where we got this as a support quite a few times and now might potentially see this as a resistance. So that's at $1.95 roughly. Now, another thing to look at are moving averages. And what I like doing when using moving averages is not just work with standard duration. So this, for example, now is the 100-day moving average. I like to adjust the duration of the moving average in order to reflect typical volatility of a particular asset. So let's just try to find a duration of that moving average where the price tended to bounce off of and where we can clearly distinguish the bullish momentum from the bearish momentum. So we can see the cutoff where this rally here turned around into a correction, because then we might potentially have points of resistance and support in the future. So let's reduce further the duration of the moving average so that it doesn't go through those price movements, but that the bullish movement gets pretty much separated from the bearish movement without too much noise. So the idea is basically you want to be in the market whenever the price is above the moving average, and you want to be outside when momentum turns around. And so when we do this, we can see that maybe 35 tends to work relatively well. So we would have entered the market over here at around 22 cents, and then we would have stayed in the market, right? We mainly stayed above this moving average, and then we would have exited somewhere here at $2.60, and then this moving average was also a resistance over here. And this is pretty much the same picture that we have already drawn here with this downwards trend, right? We are currently at a level here with $1.79 that might be potentially not that easy to overcome. Now, I think this is enough for the US dollar chart. Let's actually look at relative outperformance, because I personally prefer doing that, since in the end, the idea of investing into altcoins is to get outperformance versus the safe large cryptocurrencies, right? Fantom is at market rank 41, so it's got a market cap of 3.7 billion roughly. And so it's way more risky than, say, Bitcoin or Ethereum. Bitcoin with a market dominance of around 40%, Ethereum with one around 20%, and here Fantom has one of 0.17%. So Ethereum is more than 100 times larger than Fantom, and so you take on more risk by buying Fantom rather than Ethereum, and so you expect an outperformance logically. More risk should be compensated with more return. And so let's look exactly at that. Fantom relative to Ethereum. That's the chart, and I think this is the cleaner chart actually, because here we now get rid of the general crypto market correlation, right? Ethereum and Fantom, they are somewhat correlated, right? When we look at the US dollar chart again, this is Fantom. We do see, say, the valley over here at the same time where we also see the valley here in Ethereum. So it looks like the bearish times, they tend to happen at the same time for Fantom as they do for Ethereum, and vice versa, right? When prices for Ethereum tend to go up, that's the same for Fantom. And so in order to get rid of this general market movements within the Fantom price, in order to just look at what is specific to Fantom, we better look at the Fantom price divided by the Ethereum price. Here we see these outperformances, they come relatively quick, and when Fantom doesn't outperform Ethereum, it tends to bleed. But of course, there are short-term rallies, and they just look like little wicks over here, but in percentage terms, they can actually be quite significant. So this is a 125% movement over here. And so this is what we recently see here in Ethereum. So we have bounced off a level we have seen before. Again, you can also see this with the open, high, low, close chart. Pretty much the same picture. And Fantom tends to outperform Ethereum over the long term. That's a good thing, right? So since the start of this rally over here, since beginning of the year, Fantom outperformed Ethereum by 2,200%. So a 22x that Fantom outperformed. And so how far could we go in case we do not have a problem with this resistance here on the US dollar chart? We could see a potential outperformance, at least we have been there before, of 80% of Fantom versus Ethereum. So that's the potential gain. You might have already noticed in the tone of my voice here, I am not yet jumping on this. I am not yet a fan of getting into Fantom, even though we do see this massive outperformance recently. And the main reason is not necessarily the resistances here. The main reason for me is the general crypto sentiment, the overall market, because as we've got established, altcoins, they tend to move in tandem somewhat with the market leaders, right? When the market leaders go down, like Bitcoin or Ethereum, right? This is Bitcoin, this is Ethereum, then Fantom or any altcoin for that matter also tends to go down. This is simply an expression of high correlation within the crypto market. And so I personally don't like to bet on a rally when I see the overall market still potentially staying somewhat bearish. And the reason why I think Ethereum might continue to go down, in case you're wondering why I look mainly at Ethereum and not at Bitcoin, is because of Ethereum being higher correlated than Bitcoin to altcoins. So this is a quick view on this. This is a correlation matrix of different cryptocurrencies to one another. What's the correlation coefficient between various altcoins and Bitcoin and Ethereum? And we can see that the average correlation coefficient of those altcoins to Bitcoin is lower than the average correlation coefficient of Ethereum to those altcoins. So Ethereum is higher correlated to alts than Bitcoin is. And in order to determine where Ethereum might be going, I like to use the 39-day moving average and the 23-day moving average. And these are not determined by just visually adjusting this to the prices as we have just done with Fantom, but these are determined actually with a backtest. So when you backtest a trading strategy where you get outside of the market, whenever the price is below the moving average, so the moving average here is in purple, the price is in white, you get outside of the market, this is the portfolio line in gray, and at the same time you enter the market whenever the price is above the moving average, so you try to catch positive momentum. When you've got that kind of a trading strategy and you try to find out what moving average works the best to distill the positive momentum of Ethereum, you find out that the 23-day simple moving average and the 39-day simple moving average, they tend to work the best. So this is what I use for Ethereum. This is the overview of this entire backtest. So these are the moving average durations, and that's the result per annum if we trade it according to that strategy. So 23 and 39 historically worked well. And that's what I tend to look at still for Ethereum. And we are below those two moving averages. We tend to decline for quite a while now. So far from the all-time high, we went down 18 or 19%, something like this. And the momentum hasn't yet turned around. And that's actually the main reason why I don't like getting into Fantom now. Not necessarily this resistance line over here, not necessarily this moving average over here, but simply the overall sentiment, what Ethereum and what Bitcoin is doing doesn't look too positive in my opinion. This, by the way, is another resistance line here on Fantom relative to Ethereum. Now let's also have a quick look at Fantom versus Avalanche, where Fantom actually looks pretty good. So this is relatively to Avalanche a very, very cheap price. So I am more bearish on AVAX than I am on Fantom. I think Fantom, relatively speaking to other cryptocurrencies, especially AVAX, is pretty cheap. So if in general I would be bullish on crypto right now, if I think a reversal is going to happen, then I'd rather buy Fantom now than AVAX, because AVAX simply doesn't look that cheap. Fantom relative to AVAX is cheap. and Fantom tends to outperform AVAX over the long term. AVAX has also run its course quite a bit already, right? It's a quite large cryptocurrency, got way less room to grow further, at least relatively speaking to Fantom. Fantom is way smaller, so Fantom has more room to grow, and it also looks comparatively cheap. Now here's just for completeness sake, Fantom versus Polygon Matic. Of course, Polygon Matic is not necessarily a layer 1 competitor, but it kind of feels like this, right? You still have to bridge your money over in order to use Polygon. So this is the relative performance, the relative valuation. Fantom and Polygon, they pretty much move in a sideways trading range, and currently we are neither very expensive versus Polygon nor very cheap. Here we've got Fantom versus Solana. Fantom also tends to be relatively cheap. Solana is also, in terms of market cap, already very, very large, right? So Solana has a harder time to outgrow Fantom. So I do think that we will likely see an outperformance of Fantom versus Solana. I think that is very likely. Here we've got Fantom versus Algorand. Also, Fantom tends to outperform Algorand, but right now we are also neither very cheap nor very expensive. So that's my take on the overall Fantom situation. I do like Fantom, relatively speaking. I do think it's a very, very solid project. Also, fundamentally speaking, I do like using the blockchain a lot. I enjoy using the DeFi protocols. I enjoy using SpookySwap. And obviously, this recent rally here is very enticing, but I'm not sure if the risk here is really worth the potential reward right now. Simply because of the overall crypto market. I think if Ethereum is going to crash, it's likely going to take Fantom with it. But that's of course a big if. That's simply my view on the overall crypto market. If you're not that bearish on the next days and weeks for Bitcoin and Ethereum, then of course this might be a good trading opportunity. If you're rather conservative and you only like to take risks when things are clearly bullish, then why not wait for a little bit more? At least in the short term, right? Over the long term, as said, I do like Fantom a lot, and I do think it will outperform other layer 1 competitors. I think that's pretty much a quite reasonable conclusion to make. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to check out the premium membership as well. You can find that at thebitcoinstrategy.com. Link is also in the video description. We've got daily market updates over there. We are also releasing now the TA Academy. So every day a new tutorial on technical analysis is being released for the premium members. There's also a dedicated chat where you can ask me any questions anytime. Consider also hitting the like button because it will help the channel grow. Of course, don't miss to subscribe. I publish videos regularly. And last but not least, we've also got a public Telegram channel. We are more than 1,500 people over there. You can find us simply by searching for Bitcoin Strategy Channel within the Telegram app. See you next time. Bye-bye.